you like what you see, don't forget to smash that like button, share it, or subscribe. For all the latest Atlas info, sign up for our newsletter, shop.atlasrr.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And most importantly, enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Atlas Spring HO&N catalog for 2024. We got some great new products in here, some great new upgraded products. I got Ross joining me again. And as always, I'm Matt Mosikas, General Manager of Atlas. And we are going to just dive straight into this catalog. Dead giveaway. We got the U36B there on the cover. Let's see if we could blow that up a little bit. There's the cover, nice and large. So we'll head right into it. We got our table of contents. For those of you who haven't watched our live streams this year, we are celebrating our 100th year of Atlas. We have a nice history piece in the downloadable catalog highlighting the 4503 New Jersey Transit ALP 45DP that we have for sale. We have extra quantities of that. If you haven't pre-ordered that yet, please do. And please, read and search all the pictures of it. It's a pretty awesome locomotive.
Rail fan responsibly.
Yeah, rail fan. Don't get too close to it. We have the archival photos of the Heydrich family and the years they've worked with Atlas and all the achievements in the 100 years. And then we could just dive straight into the first product. Let me try to get this. That's much better.
That's better.
Yeah. So we got a new run of -8 40Cs. And you can see here we have the very popular 2466, which was the last active Canadian National -8. And this is the paint scheme. The artwork is for when it was last in service. It's the most up-to-date artwork possible. So we have that little red, white, and black is the air conditioner unit, which they popped off a different Canadian National -8 to retrofit it on this one. And then below that, we have the CSX YN3.com scheme. This is the all-new CSX scheme. CSX has the -8s in storage some days. Some days they're in service. They bring them in and out of storage as needed for power. So CSX is still rostering -8s, the last class one to use active -8s on their roster. And especially since acquiring Pan Am up there, they're getting even more they're getting their old -8s back. So it's going to be cool to see what CSX does in the future with their -8 fleet.
And how many -8s made it to that scheme? There are quite a few now, right?
I think there's 2 or 3 with the .com on it right now.
Interesting. Yeah, they're kicking them around now.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're repainting them.
Yeah,
they're 30-something years old.
I can't kill
4
them.
Years old.
That's a good engine there. That's good.
Yeah. CSX loves their General Electric wide caps.
They do. Yeah, they do.
And then we have an interesting one below it, which is UP 9400. So it says the 1000th -8 built. It has a placard and everything, but it actually wasn't the 1000th -8 built. 9404 was the 1000th, but General Electric and Union Pacific thought the class locomotive would look better with the placard on it, which makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah, they wanted a nice even number for the placard.
Yeah.
So the class unit for Union Pacific came with that placard, and it's pretty cool. And the model will come with that too, pre-applied. And then we could check out the rest of the -8 artwork here. Revisiting the tongue twister. Revisiting Conrail, the 6200 series. We haven't done 6200 numbers before. Then we have CSX, Bright Future. Classic. That hasn't been ran too many times. We get so many requests. Why don't you guys run the YN2 on the -8s? CSX had hundreds of these. It's
right. I feel like this is like the most memorable scheme of this engine was in YN2.
Oh, absolutely. And and they were in the up until 2022 there was -8s in the YN2 scheme. Well, there still are, but
they're still kicking around down there.
Yeah. they're either in storage or they're patched out with a short line or a class 3 or something like that. But yeah, no, the Y2, you got to touch it.
Yeah.
And then below that, we have another rail fan favorite, the Locomotive Management Services, part of Conrail, lease fleet, really sharp. Late 90s, early 2000s, you could see these locomotives everywhere on every railroad across the country. So it's a good filler for your locomotive roster on your layout.
Yeah, they were kicking around too, honestly. Like you could see these pretty prevalent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and even Canadian National bought them up and patched them out, and
that's what became the Canadian National ones.
Yeah, the Illinois Central Series per monopoly rules, they did that. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we have a Santa Fe War Bond. It's just classic. That's another one that we wanted to touch, just go back to. And same thing with UP. That's the Union Pacific as delivered. So we have Santa Fe as delivered and Union Pacific as delivered for our guys running hot shot trains.
Shout out to Drew. He's gonna buy up all the Santa Fe ones, man.
Oh, absolutely. Drew's our sales manager, and he loves some Santa Fe War Bonnet.
Big Santa Fe guy.
I'm actually in Drew's office right now, so
thanks, Drew,
for unofficially letting me use your office. And then we have the exciting all-new announcement in N scale, the U33B models and U36Bs. So this is almost identical to the HO first run. We got Penn Central. We have Reading, Northern, and Blue Mountain scheme, which
fan favorite. Well, office.
Yeah, at least office favorite. We're all
that's
big.
My favorite.
Big Reading and Northern guys.
Yep.
So you can see, Reading and Northern and Penn Central have the Phase 1 radiator section back there. You can see in the artwork. And then Rock Island below it has the Phase 2, the more grilled one versus the chicken wire of the other one. Look, and my mouse just died, so I got to switch my position.
Oh, that's fine. So after Rock Island, there's Auto Train.
So then we move on to the 36Bs. We got Auto Train.
Wow.
Seaboard Coastline and the Seaboard Coastline Bicentennial.
Which is the cover.
Yeah, which is the cover. And Tony Cook from White River was kind enough to send me some slides from the Kevin E. Day collection. So here we see Seaboard Coastline 776 hanging out in Atlanta, Georgia. This is, I think, 1981. This photo, you can see there's a little bit of road dust and chips in the paint, and it's been kicking around for a while in this photo.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
What's up? Oh, thank you. Batteries.
So for those of us that aren't as well versed in the GE land here, so what really is the difference between the U33 and the U36B?
The difference? Well, it's horsepower for the biggest part.
Right.
So 3,300 horsepower versus 3,600. And then also all the U36s have the later phase radiator section, which you can see in this photo how it stands out. It's kind of like raised and grilled.
Right.
Versus the chicken wire on the other ones. There's another example of the later radiator section.
I see for some reason, the Penn Central, like they were big on the Sinclair antennas. Like they love those things.
They do.
Almost every engine had one, right?
Yeah. And then the cool thing about this photo is it actually has the Pennsy radio equipped logo.
Right. That's so weird.
Which is, New York Central or Pennsy never received these. It was purely an Penn Central delivery, and it's still slapped
the Pennsy stuff. They probably slapped it on there thinking nobody would know.
Yeah, at least this one got the Pennsy radio logo, which is pretty cool. And then we have a Seaboard Coastline unit in Erie, Pennsylvania, fresh out of the factory. And then you could check out the lights on the nose. Those will be functional on the N scale locomotive. We had some questions about that. So yeah, the Mars and that all will work on the model itself, which is pretty sharp in N scale.
That is really sharp in N scale. And then the Auto Train, the striking paint scheme, it's like straight out of the 80s.
Yeah, everybody's favorite is the Auto Train. Classic 1980s U.S. railroading at its finest.
Heavy
No, everybody.
power in front of a passenger train, I guess, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you can mix it into freight service and like not mix it into freight service, but it ran along on a freight line. So
Now that's probably an X Seaboard, I assume.
no, these were delivered to Auto Train.
Really? Even with the light package?
Yep, and then well, it ran on the Seaboard Coastline, so they had to
True.
spec it for Seaboard Coastline specs.
So you're saying, I mean,
Yeah.
it cohabitates. So if you have the Seaboard Coastline one, you probably need an Auto Train one.
Yeah, and Auto Train actually ordered too many, and Conrail got, I believe, 3 extra U36Bs, which for a while had the light package on the nose, and then Conrail eventually blanked them out.
Right, they're like not big on that. They're like,
no, but they did
like
them with the light package on the nose. So there's some interesting pictures out there with Conrail units with nose lights.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we could dive back into the catalog.
Oh,
that completes our U33 U36B, which will come with it'll be sound ready in silver, ESU sound equipped in gold, and sound ready for our people that aren't too accustomed to Atlas products. Basically, it's a DCC ready model with the speaker pre-installed. So all you have to do is put your decoder in there, and it's ready to go. You don't need to solder the speaker in.
Yep, it's just as easy as dropping it in, and it's ready to go. Maybe with some programming to kind of tweak to your preference, but it is very simple, and it's awesome that all the silver models have that.
Yeah, it adds so much convenience to modelers that, you know, let's say they don't have a layout right now and they don't want to spend money on sound locomotive, they can buy the silver one and then buy the decoder later when they're ready for sound.
Exactly, and you know, sound of their choice. It doesn't have to be U2. It can be Tsunami, TS or TCS, I should say.
Whatever fits the pin or sliding board for that locomotive. Well, it's just strictly plug and play. Now we have a return of another fan favorite, the 5660 pressure differential hoppers. Everybody loves these cars, modern Trinity built cars. We lead off with the GTAX Blue, which is, I believe it's 2019 and onward. These started popping up. Pretty cool cars. It's a little bit lighter than the normal 5660s and has that new blue General American logo on it. Below that, we have the ConAgra with the GTX in the corner. And then we have rail services. What is that? EL?
Yeah.
My screen is so small right now. And we have Citigroup below that, TLX, Trinity Leasing, and then VTG, which is a cool new one too. That's another 2019 and 2020 onward. These started popping up. So a lot of current present day schemes in that run.
The GE rail services now, like where do those normally kick around?
All over the country. Those are that's like a lease fleet.
Right.
That could be okay. That's the NAHX.
Yeah.
That's the GE rail service report mark, and those are purely leasing ones. So smaller, like flour mills or anybody with a light, dusty commodity will lease out the 5660s. So mostly it's for flour. You'll see 5660s line up on the side of bakeries and things like that. There's a lot of shots in Chicago where there's an old C&W branch where they push 5660s up a hill for a bakery.
I mean, these got to be everywhere, like Northeast, Northwest.
Oh yeah, no, these are not specific for any region. You can see these all over the country, Canada, Mexico. They're everywhere.
They are literally everywhere.
Yeah, no, the 5660s are always prevalent. Then we move into tank cars, which we're going to bring on our tank car expert, Dr. Scott.
We get tanked. Yeah.
Dr. Scott, take it away.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Russ. Yeah, a couple of different tank cars that we brought forth again in this catalog, both in N and HO for this guy. 17,360-gallon tank cars. When these were made by CF, they were pretty much made as a single-purpose car. They're made to haul chlorine, but what ended up happening along the line is some other noxious gases that could actually go into the cars under the pressurization, etc., were hauled. So you'd have chlorine, you'd have bromine, methyl bromide, I noted on one of the cars in this run, sulfur dioxide, all pretty much noxious chemical feedstock gases, but also used in a variety of things, such as like titanium tetrachloride was one of the other ones that they intended to ship in this. Those titanium tetrachloride ended up being used for like smoke screens for the military. These are noxious. They're nasty things. They're multi-placarded most of the time. But what you would tend to use these for is they'd roll around for like paper production, disinfectants, anywhere that needed them. They're a little larger, obviously, than the 11,000 gallon tank cars. But they ended up pretty much all over the country in a lot of different industries, primarily. Some you wouldn't even think of in many cases. In this one, we've got Kaiser Chemicals, Penwalt, let's see what else is there, Olin Corporation, and a few other interesting ones on the bottom there. Asarco, which actually is an Arizona mining company, primarily for copper. Since the early mid-90s, I think they've been a totally wholly owned group of Grupo Mexico. So they end up traveling across the border a lot. My line was, I think these things they tended to rip off the Atlas O logo to some extent. However,
I was going to say, it really looks like that.
It really does. Tilex, these are actually patched out, used by Trical Incorporated out on the West Coast. And these are primarily used for fumigation products. The methyl bromide car, again, which is a unique car, the first time I've seen a methyl bromide car actually for these. Used for fumigation for crops primarily. So it's a disinfectant, weed killer, critter killer type of stuff. And Weyerhaeuser, the last guy on the list here, they originally got these cars to haul chlorine because chlorine is used a lot in the bleaching process for paper. And Weyerhaeuser, of course, is one of the largest paper manufacturers going. However, as these cars tend to age out and they weren't going to essentially rebuild them, they kind of gutted them out, cleaned them up a bit, and repurposed them for water cars to actually haul along on their lumber trains as a fire prevention car. There are a couple of cars that have done this. I mean, back in the 11,000 gallon tank car, that was done as well. And in fact, for those of you up in Canada that purchased the Royal Hudson, the 11,000 gallon tank car that we had was actually used as the auxiliary water car for that model that was produced a few years ago. And so it was pretty common for a lot of companies who had leased these out and ended up owning the cars after a while to just kind of turn them into whatever they needed that didn't have to be heavily regulated. So a lot of water cars came out of these. Again, these are available in both N and HO, same product lines. And again, seen across the country, primarily hauling chlorine, but also some other kind of nasty gases as necessary.
It's like the Swiss Army knife at tank cars, huh? Like this
pretty much, yeah. As long as it was light. I mean, these are all pressurized gas. If you're looking for something a little bit heavier, you'd have a different type of tank car with different design features, etc.
Do you know what commodity the Penwalt would be knocking?
Chlorine as well. That's also a chlorine car.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty much like I say, the Asarco and the Weyerhaeuser and the Trical are the non-chlorine cars in this group. Everybody else is a chlorine car, including the Stauffer chemical, which we did a re-release on, as that's one of the earlier cars that we had done and is always a popular.
I know the Olean one has that huge chlorine, do not inhale. And then it has the one empty sticker too.
Yeah.
So
we actually found a couple of photos when it was being shipped initially. So
that's always cool to see.
Yeah.
These are definitely interesting cars and a very necessary commodity hauler for any layout. That especially with paper mills or any sort of chlorine
water purification.
They could have been companies anywhere.
Yeah, even if you have a mine, Kaiser and the
specifically,
you got two mine-oriented cars.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste.
Very nice. And then we can move on to your next tank car. Oh, can't forget the Stauffer.
Can't forget the Stauffer. No.
Yeah, Stauffer. There you go.
Nice. That's a classic car. That's a new road numbers, right?
New road numbers for that one, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's been a long, long time since we've done that.
It has, yeah, like the early 2000s, I think, was the last time we ran this car.
And that's a popular scheme, so it's good to see that being offered again.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the beer cans as promised.
Completely other end of the spectrum. If it has to do with beer, it's probably, I'll show up on a talk. Yeah, these little guys, pretty much they all were in about the 35 maximum foot length. These are the 27 foot versions. I've seen a few that are smaller. Frameless tank cars, so that the tank itself had to carry pretty much all the structural support for these things. But these don't haul like pressurized gases, so you don't have a high pressure car. You have a high structural strength car because these haul materials that are really heavier than they should be. Really, really dense compounds. So they were designed initially pretty much to haul on the rails with proper loading, and that for the trucks at the time, the maximum amount of material, but you had to shrink the size of the car. So they ended up being nicknamed beer can tank cars or shorties because back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, there was also this prevalence of 6 to 8 ounce beer cans. If anybody remembers the little ollies, these little pony cans, essentially. I don't know whether that was nicknamed after Mustang pony cars or what, but the pony beer cans ended up being a really popular thing in the day. And these things really had the same general shape and appearance. And so they got the nickname of primarily beer can tank cars. Normally you'd see these anywhere from about 6,000 to 10,000 gallons. Over the years, as they developed, they got a little wider, a little fatter, just like most people. This kind of classic shape was used an awful lot from about, I'd say, 65 up through the 80s. And a lot of times, with a beer can tank car, they were pretty much single commodity cars. They had their own internal linings. Some were heater coils, some were insulated, some were not. And it really depended on what it was geared to haul. As a result, the leasing companies ended up being able to put their own logos on it. And if you remember some of our cars historically that we've offered in this line, such as the Eat Honey car or some of the molasses cars, actually ended up looking like billboard tank cars. Even after, the ICC essentially eliminated that in the 30s. But during the 60s and that, you could actually do that because the car only could carry that material. And so being able to do that allowed, for some nice variation in color and scheme and logo. And really, like I say, these really carry dense, heavy loads. Molasses, for example, or if you're looking at tallow or lard, things that are really heavy for their size in the foodstuff area. We didn't do any foodstuffs on this run, primarily looking at like industrial chemicals. That blue FMC car even has glycerin labeled on it, which is a thick, heavy liquid that in this case would have to use like a steam assist to get the product out of the car and have a heater coil within that. You can also be carrying resin or polymer feedstocks. Sometimes you'll get really dense solvents like the chlorinated solvents that everybody doesn't want to see anymore. Carbon tetrachloride, methylene chloride would be hauled in these cars for industrial chemicals. Oil and gas were huge users of these cars. I mean, if you lived in Jersey or live in Jersey and were anywhere up by Newark Airport with all the refineries on the other side, you would see strings of these sitting there. Primarily because they weren't only taking the heavy bunker C and beyond cuts of the oil refined, but we're also bringing in compounds to make and refine gasoline. Back in the 70s, what was that? That was tetraethyl lead. Lead's, a liquid version of lead in which, they put that in as an anti-knock compound. You weren't going to sit there and say you were leading gasoline personally, but you had to for the engines of the day. And so anti-knock compound is one of the big reasons these things came out in the first place. Pretty much any of the heavy materials. I mean, Detrex, for example, most of those guys were making lubrication additives, solvents, etc., heavy things there. FMC, as I mentioned, glycerin. Jefferson sulfur, another interesting car, definitely has a heater in it because this was carrying molten sulfur. If you ever had to be around that stuff, it's ugly. Nalco, the other blue car in here somewhere, I think it's there we go.
Down below.
Thank you. That we're doing as a renumber, some new numbers for those of you who have these cars from years ago. Nalco originally stood for National Illuminate Company, and as such now is part of Ecolab, is dealing with like water treatment, pulp and processing chemicals, paper chemicals, things to that effect. But these illuminates or silicates that they created, sometimes they were available in liquid form, sometimes you'd have them as a colloidal slurry. Over the time, things such as the KLM tank cars and that took over that kind of business. But initially, a lot of these slurry type cars were used by the aluminum or illuminate companies. If we go back to the other page, Sobine, for example, a specialty chemical organization, also dealt with like caustic materials as well. This one I don't think is labeled for caustics, but again, all of the different linings and configurations of these cars made for a really interesting mix of what you would see on the rails and what you still see on the rails with some of the larger 10K cars that are out now. Upjohn, most of us know that as a pharmaceutical company, but it also had an industrial chemicals division which handled polymers and resins and other feedstock materials, and this is one of the cars from that part of the Upjohn family. J.M. Huber, a more modern group that also handles alumina products, just like Nalco. And then SCMX, that last one over on the left, kind of a little boring, but it's actually Shell Oil. And so that was likely hauling like drilling fluids, lubricants for work in the fields and that. So you'd see these in pretty much every industry going, food stuff, etc. And so it's a really kind of cool car that's, had a nice long lifetime, and, it deserves it because it really is a great set of cars to play with and to work with.
Yeah, these things are like kicking around a lot. I didn't realize they're so industrial.
Yeah. No, thank you for the history / chemistry lesson. That was awesome.
The doctor,
I got to use that degree for something.
Yeah. From the doctor to
Dr.
use.
Scott, here we go.
There you go. So
Well,
yeah, I mean, like I say, they're great little cars. In our previous run of these, if you've missed it, we did an entire run playing on the beer can name where we were using all Pabst products. So there were cans out there on the rails. You got to just go and find them.
A little shout out from Paul there. That's really important. R&D at atlasr.com for road name suggestions and any photos, anything like that.
Well, we always appreciate prototype photos and road name suggestions, especially if you want to suggest the road name or a paint scheme. Please suggest it, but attach the photos along with it.
Yeah, the photos are very helpful.
Always helpful, especially detailed, high resolution photos.
Because a lot of those early photos, if you're trying to find out photos from the 60s, they're really, really, really hard to process sometimes, especially if they're out of focus.
Out of focus, blurry, discolored.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Thank you, Scott. That was great.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me in, and I agree.
Appreciate it. I'll see you later. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye, Scott.
All right. Well, moving right along, let's go to the Trainman boxcar there, huh? Steam Era Classic there, World War II. Starting with Baltimore and Ohio. I love that one. That's like...
Yeah, the B&O Classic Capitol Dome scheme on that.
We got the CB&Q, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, Everywhere West, which is another iconic scheme there.
It is, and it's a little bit modernized with the patch data and stuff on that.
That is. I see the little patch data there. That's a good touch there for an N scale, especially.
Yeah.
GM&O.
It updates it for the 1960s.
Yeah, it does. They got a GM&O boxcar right next to it. I love that one with the wings.
Yeah, that's a beautiful scheme. That's really cool. All GMO stuff does very well all the time.
Now the Milwaukee Road one I see. Now that's kind of is that a later scheme on that one?
I believe so.
It has to be.
DF door. Yeah. No COTS panel, so not too late, but
yeah, not super late. But that's definitely not the original for no. And then next to it we have the MKT fan favorite. We get accosted for MKT every show.
MKT modelers are adamant. They want to see more and more MKT.
We got the compliments on the green color, the green and yellow. So just pass that along to R&D. Great work on the green.
It's the color codes. I give the color codes all the credit.
Now down below we have Canadian National in blue. which is
We
pretty
do.
unique with new road numbers. And right next door, we have the Seaboard with another iconic logo. I love the Seaboard logo.
I'd say the Canadian National is the latest scheme. These things kicked around until the 90s with those CN patches. And
yeah, that's like late, which is funny. I mean, these cars, like, they survived pretty long.
They did.
For what they are.
They really did. No, but great little boxcar here. Perfect for experienced modelers and novice guys alike. I love the Trainman line. It provides a good model at a good price.
Right, and you can put like any paint scheme on it. And they turn out so nice. The Trainman models are awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And then last thing for N Scale is we're offering our 3D printed loads. We showed these off in Springfield during the Amherst show, and now they're going to be commercially available. So these loads are very intricate. They're actually really beautiful. Like when you decorate them and paint them up, they look phenomenal. Especially the scrapped auto parts, junkyard cars. The things you can't do with injection molding versus what you can do with 3D printing really stands out in that junkyard car load.
And these are available now. And the really unique thing is, like, we print these in-house.
We do. We print these in Hillside, New Jersey.
Oh, courtesy of Hans. I mean, he's like a wizard with that thing.
Yeah, we have our 3D engineer, Hans, who does some really, really great work. And it's all in-house. It's all out of our headquarters in Hillside. So we got Ditko loads, and then we have loads for the 70-ton gondola. So you got sheet metal, scrap metal, all sorts of prototypical loads that you would see.
Right.
Like you see the large stone for the Ditko, little stone, even some scrap.
The wreck cars are cool. That's like really cool.
Yeah. The wreck cars, we got so many compliments up in Springfield about these.
Yeah, and these are plastic. They are unpainted, so you do have to finish them just by adding paint any color you'd want, or a little wash there to kind of bring out the details.
Yeah, if you do a mixed wash on these, they come out really nice. You don't have to be an expert. You just kind of throw some dirty colors at it, and it makes it pop.
That looks like what it would.
Yeah. The only thing you might need like a little tedious work with is the hot metal ladle load, which is really cool, but you could simply paint it yellow and paint the stand like a metallic color or something.
And the ladle, wasn't the ladle the first one he tried? I remember seeing that first.
It was one of the early 3D prints that he did.
That turned out awesome.
It looks really, really nice. So if you
That doesn't have the tie downs though. You have to add the tie downs yourself. But
the
ladle and the cradle for the ladle.
It comes with the cradle and it comes with the ladle.
Cradle and the ladle.
Which is a great deal.
What a steal.
No, but yeah, we're going to keep making more and more loads commercially available, so keep your eyes out. These are great for gondolas, flat cars. Who knows? Maybe we'll even do some palletized HO boxcar loads for our doors, like our models with opening doors.
There we go. Yeah, pallets, anything on there, beer can.
Yeah, if you have suggestions for 3D loads, send me an email to the R&D email, and we really appreciate it. Maybe we'll make it come to life. Then we got our track planning software.
Yeah, track planning software available now on the website. There is the free demo version, but for the full version, you just go and download the license. Go there and pay there. We have a plethora of our books here, Atlas model books in all scales. And we have so much track in stock. We just got a container of track. There's more coming. It is the perfect time to plan your model train empire, as we like to say. And it's great. The books are so helpful. They're so.
They are. There's a lot of good, even as an experienced modeler, there's great tips in there and things
just for pointers, like some things you wouldn't think of, or where to put switches and crossovers.
Yeah. Or if you're overthinking it, it lays out the fundamentals and can help you get back on track if you're delayed, or, like sometimes you're working on your layout constantly and you get a little brain fog, or you get a little, just do some reading.
Right. And the majority of layout packages are available now. You can order them from your dealer of your choice. You can give us a call at our phone number, or shoot us an email, and we can get an order processed for you. Super awesome. It comes with the wiring, the track needed, All you need is the space, the table, and the cork below or whatever kind of roadbed you want to do. And you can just build your train empire from there.
No, it's pretty great that it provides the electrical and the track.
The electrical is huge. Like, a lot of people don't realize it comes with the wiring.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
I
a
think it's
big
just
part
the
of it.
track. No, it's almost everything except the table and the power pack. Yeah. Now we'll move into our HO section. So the road name selection of the Dash 8s and HO is identical, but the upgrades are significant in HO. We took the liberty of updating our HO-8 CW model. We got improved headlight and ditch light outputs. So in the past runs, excuse me, I got a sore throat. I got to keep drinking water. Whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot of good upgrades in that thing, huh?
There is. So the headlights were a little bit, I wouldn't call them dim, but they weren't modern, strong looking headlights. Like, they were just a little bit yellowish. So now they're upgraded to 2700 looms, which is it's like a bright white with some yellow tint. It really nails the modern headlight on locomotives. It looks really, really good. So both the headlights and ditch lights will have that bright, luminous lighting. Too many adjectives. I feel like
bright, luminous lighting. Huge.
Sounds great. Put that in bold words. And then we have the no sunshade track for the Conrail, LMS, CN. All these road names with no sunshades. So before the model always had the holes pre-drilled to mount the sunshades. But the Conrail modelers are complaining because Conrail units never had sunshades. So now we made a new side slide variation for the cab that will have the clean, no holes there, no sunshade track. It will look like a correct Conrail cab. And speaking of correct Conrail cabs, we're going to have the independently controlled marker lights, independently controlled number boards, which is huge. The marker lights weren't functional before this. Now they will be. And the number boards were always tied into the headlights. So now the number boards, you can turn them on and off per whatever operation you're doing. If the locomotive's sitting in the yard, you can turn off the headlights and you can just leave the number boards on. If the locomotive's out on the road, you can turn off the number boards and you can turn on the headlight, vice versa. A lot more prototypical for operation.
Yeah, just like when they're sitting in Jutland, there you see the number boards and everything just chilling there, no headlights.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And then there's some few more aesthetic upgrades. So the windshield glazing will be improved, and we'll have etched metal wipers, which will be thinner than the previous plastic injection wipers. And the window glazing will be made more flush to the gasket detail, and it'll just come up and have a nicer look. So the etched metal wipers will lay directly on that new windshield glazing.
Those are much necessary upgrades for this model.
Yeah, I believe this model, was it 2003, the first production, 2004 maybe, in that ballpark. And we figured why not spruce it up a little bit. It's already a great model, and we're just making it better.
Yeah.
And then we can see with the handrails on the nose. So the next photo shows the single piece handrails. And then this photo shows the two piece. So you can see that these are two pieces. And then there's so the single piece is from the phase ones. These are like early delivery Dash 8s. It looks a lot like the 40Bs, the 4-axle little brothers. They had that. And now these will come with the two piece. So for those Conrail LMS guys, even CSX, all those late deliveries will be prototypically accurate now. And that's what we had for the HO-8s. Like I said, same road names. I know 2466 will be a big seller. If it's not I believe it's not retired yet. There's photos from earlier this year of it out on the road.
I don't think so. I think it's still kicking around.
Yeah, let's hope.
Let's hope.
The CSX unit we mentioned, that's active on the road. There's pictures of that thing in California that goes coast to coast. CSX, I guess, gives their older power out to
for the power trading, right? Or the
power trading. Why give out your good stuff?
Don't do the NS route.
Yeah. And then we have the 9400, 1000th built, and that will have the placard pre-applied.
Yeah, pre-applied. That'll probably be a piece of metal plastic with the logo on there.
Yeah, either a little piece of styrene or a little piece of etched metal.
Yeah,
one of the two. Styrene's probably easier to stick to the handrails.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we got the rundown again. Conrail quality in the 6200 series, CSX YN2. It's going to be very popular because I know a lot of people are going to modernize these YN2 models with put some PTC up there or white cab. It's pretty cool. The LMS, people can patch those out if they please. And same thing with the Santa Fe. BNSF guys can add a BNSF patch to it too.
Right. Yeah. These things, I mean, they're like, the war bonnet's awesome.
Yeah. The war bonnets, they made it till BNSF sold them off to CN. So they were around for a long, long time.
Long time.
That's the HO-8s with plenty of upgrades. Not to mention, they will also come with metal KD style couplers. So that's huge. You get metal couplers on your locomotive. You know, if you don't like the Acumace, then you don't have to swap them out.
And that was another much needed upgrade. I know there was a lot of requests for the metal couplers, features, everything like that, and the sunshades. That was like the sunshade.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see all the upgrades highlighted here in this square box. Lots and lots of upgrades. But it's going to make it a very nice modern day Dash 8.
Nicely refined. Oh, man, what do we got here? GP38
schemes on the GP38-2 Trainman locomotives.
Oh, boy.
My favorite's Amtrak Phase 7. That's just ultra cool.
And that's like new, right? Like
that's new. That's a few months old, maybe 1 month old, a couple weeks old.
And the other road name's like not even painted yet, right?
When we were doing the artwork, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I think it might be out of the shop now.
Yeah.
But Matt Donnelly kindly provided us the row numbers that would be receiving the Phase 7 scheme. So everything is in collaboration with Amtrak, as always. We really appreciate their help and assistance and everything. So we're happy to offer the GP38 and the Phase 7 scheme.
That is a striking paint scheme. That's really
good. It is. And if you're an Amtrak modeler of any sort, you know, you need this to kick around the cars in the coach yard, or, you know, push around locomotives in the engine shop, or your maintenance away train. Have some more Atlas Evans Trainman gondolas behind that.
Oh. Well, moving right along, we see the BNSF H4. That's a great paint scheme there.
Yeah, that's cool. It's in the swoosh H4 scheme. Few numbers in the Phase 2 GP38s. BNSF loves their Jeeps. And I don't think they'll ever get rid of them.
They love those things.
Yeah, and same with CN. We got the former Grand Trunk and Western, now CN. GP38 Phase 2 with the CN website scheme, with the yellow sill being the most modern.
Yeah, that is the most modern. And then below that, I see the D&H snuck in there somehow. Wink, wink.
I think the project manager on this one really likes D&H.
Big D&H guy.
He snuck in D&H in here.
Now, does that mean he's going to HO and he's got some D&H power now, or what?
I don't know. I know he has an HO shelf layout, so let's see if he sticks with his HO D&H themed shelf layout. I know it's always a rotation, but there's so many cool paint schemes on this run.
Farm rail, wow.
Farm rail's cool.
There was some requests for farm rail, right? A lot of requests for that one.
Yeah, farm rail has like a little culty fan base following. They're like the MKT crowd.
They're like MTK, but they're a little calmer with the accosting, you know.
Yeah. They say, "Can you please do the farm rail?"
Like now.
Yeah,
do it now.
And even if the farm rail is easy to put on your layout, because if you have a grain silo or any sort of like agricultural siding, you could just dump a farm rail load like unit there and have it kick cars around on that siding. And then HLCX, one of my favorites. Helm leasing, you see these everywhere, especially in the Midwest.
Ooh, yeah, that'll match our straight 38 we just put out.
Yeah, it will. So these will complement the Helm straight 38s that just came in. Now you got a phase 2 version to go along with that.
Absolutely. And I see below another fan favorite, Reading and Northern 40th anniversary with a ribbon.
Oh yeah,
yeah, 2023.
Yeah, as soon as Reading and Northern painted this up, we knew we had to do it. And it's an interesting locomotive because one side has like a phase 2 grill, the other side has a phase 1. A little bit of Frankenstein, but since it's Trainman locomotive, we elected to do it. It's a very cool unit. It's the 40th anniversary unit for Reading and Northern, which is on their Lehigh Scenic train a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and some freight service too kicking around.
Yeah, every once in a while it's in freight service, but I've seen lots of pictures of it on the Lehigh Scenic, which is, for people that don't know the Reading Northern, it's their scenic train that runs through the Lehigh Gorge.
From Jim Thorpe.
Yeah, through Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Brings just hikers or bicyclists, like 8 miles up the trail or 10 miles up the trail, and then they can ride back down.
Yeah. And you ride at a pretty good clip too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. They do haul up there.
Now below, I see a Conrail fan favorite going with the theme.
Yeah,
really good looking
classics, really.
Yeah,
SP and Conrail, which Conrail guys can always use more Conrails.
You need Conrail.
You do.
You have to. And the SP guys could always use more SP.
That's true. Like SP, two icons of their coast, East Coast, West Coast. Conrail, they're both a little bit in the middle too, but two solid read numbers down there.
Yeah, really good. And the Silver Series got the speakers in it as well.
Yep, as always, you got the Sound Ready Silver. So your favorite 21-pin decoder, just take off the shell, slap it in there, and you got sound.
Awesome.
Then we got the HO 5660s, which is same road names as N Scale. That blue General American. I love that one. I'm going to get a few for myself.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. Same with ConAgra. There's a big ConAgra mill on the other side of the Delaware River up here.
Yep.
So we see a lot of those cars. Yeah. And then G rail service. That's critical. That's all over the country. Nice gray filler. And the VTG. That's cool for people. And I haven't seen one in person. I think that's more in the Midwest. But cool scheme nonetheless. And always lots and lots of road numbers. So whatever, if you got like a mill or yard, whatever, plenty of road numbers.
Dr. Scott's tanks.
Dr. Scott's tanks. This is a duplication of the N scale run. So Kaiser, Penwalt, Olean, all the good stuff. Love these. I got to snag a couple of these myself.
I like the Weyhauser is like really cool.
It is cool with the patched out and the conspic stripes.
I like later in life they're using it like water cars, fire suppression, like anything like that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, even if you're not doing that Weyhauser, you're not modeling that, you could patch it and say it's a service tank car for your fantasy short line or whatever you model.
Just sitting there. Like I know there's like random tanks like everywhere.
Yeah, you see it all the time. All these service tank cars that are water use only or miscellaneous fluids that they use.
Motor oil. Stauffer.
Cool one for the 1970s guys.
Oh man, CNCF's back again.
CNCFs are back. These are my favorite.
Yep.
One thing to note, these originally went out with a $74.95 MSRP. It's actually $64.95.
So you're saying you had a reduction in price? Whoa.
Kind of.
That's huge. We got to grab these up, especially that Ferromex. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
the Ferromex scheme is by far the most eye-catching with the arrows. That's a new car. That's like
that's new.
I think 2023 those started popping up because on our first run we did gray Ferromex, which was a new car for that time.
Super popular.
Faramex keeps popping out new schemes on these, and all the pictures I have of these red Faramex cars were taken in the United States. So they do come up into the States really often.
We took the Faramex down to Texas for NMRA last year, the gray one. And I'm like, man, that's a real sharp car. Everybody's like, can I buy it there? Can I buy it? I go back and I try to get one. They're gone. They're all sold out. Gone.
Yeah.
Like,
so make sure you pre-order, especially the Faramex. They go.
You gotta get the Faramex. Yeah. But I see the B&S there. Really nice.
Oh, the Birmingham Southern.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. So I have a slide of that one. A little graffiti on it, but but we actually have that door. So you can see there's an aftermarket shop door. It has the forklift openings. So basically you can take a forklift and just smash into the side of this and open the door. It's got those big reinforced forklift openings so you can open the door with it.
That's the super industrial boxcar there.
Yeah, and it's a cool little short line. I mean, you get this yellow door, green body, and it's a modern car. They're still out there today.
Yeah.
Birmingham Southern only had 5 of these, but I have photographs of these in New Jersey, photographs of these in the Southeast, near Chicago. Like, they just ended up everywhere. And I think they hauled cinder blocks around that are made in Alabama, because the CNCF 5000s are a low capacity boxcar. So they usually haul like cement blocks, pallets of dry cement, stuff like that. Things that are heavy.
Very heavy.
Yeah. And then we can see the rest of the run here. So in the first run, we had
Ann Arbor.
We had Ann Arbor, but it wasn't patched out. Now we have Canadian Pacific patched out Ann Arbor. So that's pretty cool.
The patches are awesome. And I see down below.
The Grand Trunk with the patches. So the Grand Trunk, that it's an easy guess to see where it came from. It's right below. So the Rock Island actually took delivery of these Mexican-built boxcars, and they had them for 2 months, and then they went bankrupt. So all of Rock Island's CNCF 5000s went to the Grand Trunk, and Grand Trunk immediately patched them, and some of them stayed in that patch until they got resold to small leasing companies. So the Grand Trunk with the patch and not the full repaint is actually the more common one. There are some full repaint Grand Trunk ones out there that will produce eventually, but we did the more common Grand Trunk patched for this offering.
Right, yeah, we're not done with the CNCFs just yet.
No, there's so many paint schemes on this car. It's really
I'm just waiting for my McHughes brother. You know which one I want.
Oh, I know. Thomas Ross, the New Hope and Ivyland CNCF.
But down, I see here we go, the NS or the New York Susquehanna and Western again.
Yeah. So the tri-state modelers will have to settle for the New York Susquehanna one for now, which is pretty cool too. Susquehanna had I think it was like around 20 cars, little series of CNCFs, which they got in the IPD program. But unfortunately, they didn't, unlike other short lines, they didn't put big logos on it or anything. It's just
they were just bland, which is funny from that railroad because, the engines had some pretty cool paint schemes. Like, they were nice. They're just like plain Jane.
The New York Susquehanna just really doesn't get much rolling stock, and when they do, it's usually plain.
Now, CA Customs. We usually do the comments at the end, but this is a good question for this one. The scale coupler boxes are on this car. Are they normal, or are they scale coupler boxes on these?
They're scale coupler box. Like, they're scale, but they can hold a KD number 5.
Okay.
So they're near. I want to say near scale, like maybe a couple of centimeters wider to accommodate the KD number 5. But from the 3-foot rule, it looks scale. It's smaller than the big brick coupler boxes on some of our early cars.
Dig to the early car.
And it has the coupler key detail, and it has all that good, rivets, and it's a very nice coupler box.
Right. Now, if you're any kind of mod, like, these box cars go so fast. So if you want to get these, definitely get your pre-orders in, because they don't be like me and wait till the end and try to get a Ferromex.
Yeah, especially the Mexican road names.
Yeah. Which actually, funny enough, we didn't do our green one there.
Oh, the FPC.
Yeah, we can't forget that one.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. That's more of a West Coast one. So that was Federo. It's basically the Pacific Railroad of Mexico. So it's the Pacific Coast Railroad in Mexico, and again, there's lots of photos of these on the Southern Pacific in California. And even today, Union Pacific has lots of trains with. Now they're Ferromex, but they have Ferromex patches, and it's still all green with the SCP logo on it. And so they're still around today, patched out for Ferromex, but it's really a West Coast centric car.
It's a really cool. I love the yellow and green. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, and the good thing about the CNCF box cars is there's so many different colors that these have been painted into. Like there's only one brown box car here. You see red, blue, green, orange, all sorts of paint schemes.
Rainbow, yep.
So as we said, nice MSRP of a very highly detailed car. If you didn't get one from the first run, these are really, really nice cars. Atlas Master level, almost Matte Plus level. So it has the MSRP of $64.95.
That's great. That's like this car is such a high fidelity car. It's so nice. The underbody detail, the ends, the roof, like everything. It's a really nice car.
Yeah, and speaking of high fidelity, these are also nice models at a good value too. These are the former branch line 50-foot post-war box cars.
Yeah,
really solid models.
These are really nice cars.
They are. It's intricate details, all sorts of end slot, end variations, door variations, welded, riveted. You can get into it with roof walk, without roof walk. We can do a lot with this car. So we have a lot of as delivered / transition era schemes here on this first page. We got the B&O with the Capitol Dome. That's a cool scheme. It's basically as delivered up until the chassis system takeover.
Yeah, that went a long time.
Very long time. And they often left these, they didn't repaint these. They didn't bother. There's a couple examples of chassis system ones, but for the most part, it held the B&O paint until it got scrapped. Then got Wabash down there with the heart logo.
And the flag. You got to follow the flag, man.
Follow the flag. Northern Pacific. We had lots of Northern Pacific modelers. They always want more rolling stock, more locomotives. Another huge fan base. Then we have the Santa Fe Super Chief. It's iconic. Along with the iconic Pennsylvania as delivered, as a keystone in the circle. That's basically the transition era Pennsy rolling stock.
Right, with the regular Pennsylvania to the left.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, not a huge shadow drop keystone.
Yeah,
it's the small keystone. I like the shadow drop keystone. That's pretty.
See I like the circle and the transition era. I don't know why. It just it makes sense.
Guy.
I guess. I don't know.
The shadow drop just reminds me of Fairbanks Morse locomotives. And
yeah, true.
All those cool oddball motive power they had kicking around.
Literally their entire fleet.
Yeah.
Now I see the bottom here, another MKT boxcar.
Yes. Yep. So these are renumbers. These were really popular when they came out. We did these modernized MKT boxcars with the COTS panel, no roof walk. Good for 70s onward. Really nice, flexible car.
And I see the Illinois Central. Now, I fought for this orange one.
Yes.
There is another variation that we could have done. I like the orange one personally.
So it was orange versus as delivered, and we want a little bit more color, so we went with the orange.
I like the orange.
Yeah. Now, with the Death Star logo.
Yep. That's an iconic logo. That is awesome.
Very cool.
I'm moving right along. Now I see it. We got our special T-shirts here for 100th anniversary. Are you wearing
specialty T-shirts, 1995, and shipping and handling? I'm wearing one right now. It's
man.
very nice shirt. It's not too bright or obnoxious. I can model it a little bit.
Oh,
Oh, what do we got? Can you see it?
yeah, there you go.
I'm too tall.
Now we got our logo, our special 100th anniversary logo on the front, as well as our signature trademark tagline on the back. Which
and the sizes I just put on XL. I'm XL. Fits perfectly. No games with the sizing. It's straight up. If you're a medium, a medium's gonna fit. Matches my Nike Under Armour sizing just fine.
Yep, and we, everyone joining on the celebration. It's fun to have a special wrapped locomotive, but why not wear a shirt with the same?
Yeah,
right.
And if you're ordering something from us, why not throw this in for $19?
It's great. Now,
it's great.
That's the end of the catalog. We have a couple minutes here for Q&A, so let's roll into it here. I was looking at some MP36 questions here.
Okay.
Now, the MP36 locomotives are actually on the water now, aren't they?
They are. Well, they got loaded last week. So all of them except for the Metra Milwaukee Road Heritage Unit will be arriving within, depending on if the container gets held or not, let's say 3 weeks.
So that's right, folks. The MP36s are starting to arrive.
They're on the water, though. They're making their journey to the States.
Yes, making their journey. Now, the Steam channel here had a question on the gallery cars. What is the ETA on those? That's probably right behind it, no?
So we received completed production samples. They look awesome. They're going to be right behind the locomotives. The production is going to wrap up in mid-June. So I'd put that at end of July, early August ETA.
Oh, man. So you're talking at least by the end of the summertime, we can have Metra consists.
Yeah, knock on wood. That's a safe bet.
Pending any delays. Now, I see another long-awaited model, the HO-8. Our friend Andrew here has a question on the -8s. Are we expecting those anytime? You had a sample on your desk, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I have the engineering sample with the ditch lights added, the Tier 0 radiator section.
I saw some brass detail on there, didn't it?
So it's got the brass K5 LA. It's got the radiators, the raised upgraded tier environmental radiator section. That's brass. Lots of cool brass parts. So it has pilot mounted ditch lights, deck mounted ditch lights. It looks really sharp with the ditch lights added to it already. But the factory told me those are in production right now. So if maybe they load those mid-June. So again, I'd say that's late July, early August.
Now I see that's pretty awesome. That's like that engine, like when I walked up, I'm like, what is that?
It looks so good with ditch lights on
it. Looks real sharp. Now Rule 281C here is asking about the -8. So the CSX YN2, are those ex-Conrail units, or were they straight from?
No, the numbers I picked for that are straight CSX delivery. So those are 100% CSX.
Now, Engineer Hall here, any chance of the NS and another run? I know NS had a pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's a big NS guy. I know Engineer Hall.
Would he prefer the horse head or the power bar? Or?
Probably all of it, most
all
likely.
Of it?
Well, yeah. That's like the general answer, right? Like, just take it all.
Yeah. No, definitely we'll go through all the -8 schemes again. We just wanted to do some that are still on the road, and then some more the more iconic ones that we haven't done in a long time.
Well, the -8, I mean, the Santa Fe War Bonnet, man, it gets its love. Like, that was plentiful.
That's a hot shot, fast freight, iconic scheme. The pinnacle of 90s motive power.
Awesome. Now, the River Point trucks, I know there were some questions. I believe the River Point trucks are going into production pretty soon, aren't they?
You're correct. So I know Scott's been fielding a bunch of questions on those. I see. Let's bring Scott back. He's still here.
Oh, is he really? Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Dr. Scott, we have some questions on the River Point trucks for you. Oh, he's muted. That's perfect. Can we do that every? No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's. There you go.
There we go. Thanks.
Hey,
Sorry.
Scott.
Yeah, we've seen the engineering samples. Production should be underway soon. Don't have an estimated time on them quite yet because we haven't actually seen the painted up versions. But as soon as we get that, they'd be pretty soon after that. So yeah, they're looking good, guys.
You got a lot of excitement then. You got Metro trains, you got the RPS trucks, and a long awaited, and we have a lot of plans for the RPS trucks, right?
Indeed.
So, a lot of stuff going on there. I know the SD45s just got a question. You guys are best to field this one. What are we thinking on the N-scale SD45s?
The production is almost completed. They're sorting some things out with those, and maybe they get loaded in the next couple of weeks. So that I would throw that in the same ballpark as even mid-July, late July, early August, that kind of ballpark.
That's incredible. That's a lot of excitement for this summer, man. We're kicking it off pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of great arrivals this summer.
Now, I don't see any other questions. CNA Custom showing some love. Thanks, man. And again, please pre-order your trains. June 26th is the deadline for this catalog. Really need to get those pre-orders in to ensure that you have your model of your choice. Now, you can get it from us at shop.atlasrr.com. Or you can get it from a dealer of your choice, really either way, as long as you get the models at the end of the day. And I think that wraps it up for us. What do you say, guys?
That does. All right.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well, as always, I'm Ross. That's Matt. Scott, thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.